Where's it going now? Today, everybody, this is Jordan Jones on the new Super Mario Bros. U tutorial. Let's learn exactly how you beat Frosty Glacier 5 Icicle Caverns. So here's what you have to do in this level. So what you'll have in this level is remember to watch for these. Watch the bubbles. Watch the bubbles. Like we said in the tower video. Every time it's an icicle, make sure you watch those bubbles. Watch the bubbles. There's always bubbles underneath there. See, there's bubbles. So you can easily watch the bubbles. If there's bubbles, you know they're going to fall down. If there's not bubbles, they're not going to fall down. So that's very important to know. And those are your main obstacle in the level. The level's pretty simple, so that's just your main obstacle you'll have in the level. So here's what you have to do. So what you have to do right here is just keep running pretty fast right there until you go underneath that, and then that's how you get Star Coin number 1. Very simple. That's all you have to do. That's all you have to do. Pretty simple. Okay, here's what you have to do right here. You don't have to go in this bottom path if you don't want to. So here's what you have to do right here when you get closer to here. Go ahead and grab any power up that there is right there. I was assuming it'd been Ice Flower because it's an ice level. So I thought it'd be Ice Flower. That's a surprise. It's a Fire Flower. I thought it'd be an Ice Flower. But that's okay. That's alright. So, okay. This dark one's a little bit tricky to get. Here's what you have to do to get it. So the most important thing I can tell you. So just like that. It's a little bit tricky of a jump to make. It will take a little bit of practice to get used to that, but you'll get it. We'll practice. So the most important thing I can tell you when you're doing that jump is as soon as you jump on him, you want to hit the A button as soon as you jump on him, and then you want to hit A and up at the same time. And then you'll go inside this pipe up here. So you have to wait for the icicle to drop down, then you want to jump up here like this. That's all you have to do to get your second star coin. Pretty simple. So your third star coin is a little bit tricky to get, so here's what you have to do. Here's what you have to do to get it. So what you have to do is you just have to go through the level like this. So here's what you have to do. If you want to, you can go fast. But you don't have to go as fast as I am. Remember, if you see those icicles, make sure you watch those bubbles. Watch the bubbles, because that's how you avoid them. Then you have to make the most important thing I can tell you is that you're running at a steady pace right there to make those jumps right there. And then that's how you get star coin number 3. Let's go over the whole level. No pausing this time so you can see what it's like when you beat it all the way through. Okay, so remember, watch those bubbles. If you see an icicle dropping, make sure you watch the bubbles. That's very important. Just like I mentioned in the Tower World 4. So if you see those bubbles coming down, that means the icicles will fall down. So it's very important. So remember, we're avoiding these things. So remember what we do right here. So here's what you have to do. Run here pretty fast to get your first star coin. Pretty simple star coin to get. It's not that difficult, but here's what you have to do. The most important thing I can tell you is that you're just going at a steady pace. For some parts of this, especially for star coin number 3. This part doesn't matter. It's just the last star coin that matters. Okay, so the most important thing I can tell you. Okay, so remember, it's all the bubbles because when these icicles drop, watch the bubbles. That's very important. Watch those bubbles appear. So here's what you have to do right here. Once again, bounce. This jump's a little bit tricky to make. We messed up. Your first couple times playing this level, you probably will mess up at that jump. You probably will, and that's okay. If you're having too much trouble doing that jump, because this timing's difficult to learn. It's pretty difficult to learn this timing, but if you're having a difficult time learning, here's a much easier way you can do it. I have a squirrel suit in the inventory, so if you're having too much trouble making that jump, this is something I want to go over it. Because this is a very difficult timing thing to learn if you don't know what you're doing. This timing is difficult to learn, but because you probably will mess up at it several times before you get used to it. You probably will, and that's okay. But here's a much easier strategy you can use. If you're having too much trouble getting star coin number 2, here's a much easier strategy you can use. So you just have to have the squirrel suit, and once you have the squirrel suit, here's what you have to do for the much easier strategy you can use. Because that second star coin was a little bit easy to mess up. But if you do, not a big deal. Because you probably will mess up. You probably will, and that's okay. Remember, icicles, if you don't see the bubbles, that means icicles won't drop. The only way you know they drop is just if you see those bubbles. That's very important to know. So you can go ahead and kill this fire bro right here. I mean ice bro right here. Here's a much easier strategy you can use. Just use your squirrel jump to get up in this pipe like that. And once you do that, look how much easier that is. If you want a bit of an easier strategy, you can go ahead and do it like that. Because this is a timing that's difficult to learn. It's a difficult timing thing to learn. And also, if you're having too much trouble, start on number 3, because that's a kind of a difficult timing thing to do too. So we'll try to keep our squirrel set till we get there. And when we get there, if I can go pretty fast, I can easily avoid these. We can slide right here. Okay, so let's say if you mess up and then these fall down and you have your squirrel suit, here's what you have to do. Go inside this pipe regularly, and here's a much easier strategy you can use. All you have to do is just jump up and then float up with your squirrel suit like this. And that's all you have to do for 4-5. If you have any questions about World 4-5, please feel free to leave those questions in the comment section, and I'll be glad to answer it for you to the best of my ability. And we'll be moving on to the Boo House next time. And that's a very fun Boo House to play. It's one of my favorites. Okay, everybody, that was it. Hope it was helpful and have a good one.